In this podcast, I had the fortunate opportunity to speak with Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan was an Atlanta cop, was a cop in Long Island, and the amount of great work he did pales in comparison to what he is doing now, where he is putting himself out there uh, with mental health. I think that we, as in a profession, are getting closer and closer to where we need to be. I did the math the other day. I figured what it was, but we have more officers and firemen that are dying via suicide than being killed or dying on the line of duty. I think that is pretty alarming, and I think that that's something that we have to address as a profession. It has to come from within. No matter what we talk about or what we say, going to clinicians and all this other stuff, I think that in order to combat the problem, you have to be open as a profession to talk about it. And I love that he's doing this. His platform is about it. Plus, he's a big dude, and if he's willing to open up about his feelings, I think that um, many other people in the profession should feel very comfortable about opening up about the stuff that they're suffering through. As a profession, we know that we see this stuff that we're not supposed to see, and it's okay to not be okay. Like, we can go talk about it. For me, just being willing to have that conversation and not replay it in my head multiple times really helps me out. Um, I have a close friend that is a clinician. I talk about him often, but that's all I really need. And if I say, "Hey, man, I just need to talk for a minute," if there's something that I'm saying that is alarming you and you think I need to go see someone else, just let me know. But as soon as I get it out of my head the first time, I can talk to about anyone. But for some reason, I have to have that confidant that I trust that's not going to judge me based on what I'm talking about. Anyways, this was a very long intro. I love this podcast, but let me know what you think.
So you got to ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What keeps you motivated to stay proactive and get bad guys off the street?
The facts is a big cannon against a little tiny gun of opinions, because we've all heard people give us their opinions.
Let's talk about how easy it is to get narcotics in this country. Once they're in this country, anywhere within 2 days, the drugs will be in our cities.
Because we know knowledge is power.
Well, today on Beyond the Barrel, I have Mike Morgan, who was a cop in Atlanta, cop in New York. But I think more impressively is the stuff that he's doing now. And I'm completely humbled and honored to have you here with me, man.
Thank you, Ken. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here on your podcast. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure, 100%. So before we start into anything, let's just talk a little bit about you, man. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Bellmore, New York. So it's a suburb of Long Island, about 45 minutes east of Manhattan on the train.
Isn't there a Belmar, New Jersey or something too?
Belmar, yeah, it's Belmar, Bellmore.
Oh, okay, I couldn't tell. Maybe just your accent. There's all some
Yeah, his accent's horrendous, man. You need a dialect coach.
It's born and raised up there?
Yes, born and raised. Parents are deceased, but dad was a member of the FDNY for 36 years. My mom was school secretary, and then had a younger sister. Yeah, typical childhood, I guess. Big sports kid. I guess relationship wise with my dad, I only say this because I only realized that most of us have not had great relationships with our dad, service members and first responders. Very difficult guy, pretty critical. And looking back now, I never realized it over the past year and a half when I've kind of gone through my life, realized pretty verbally abusive. So I don't know if I was one of those other guys that got into the profession to make him proud or, to show him I could do it. I was tough enough, but I'm sure it had something to do with it subconsciously.
You're a pretty big dude. Was dad a big dude?
Yeah, he was about 6'3", 250, something like that. I'm a little shorter, 6 foot, about 235, 240.
Was he the I guess the first responder in the family, or was it like a lineage?
His brother, who's 5 years older, started with the FDNY, I think about 5 years prior. So his brother ascended to the rank of lieutenant, and then my father did not want either myself or my sister entering any blue collar profession. I got an accounting degree from college, and I was supposed to stay on that white collar route. He was not happy when I started entertaining law enforcement profession ideas.
looking back, do you think that some of the reasons that maybe you went into it is because of he didn't want you to, and you were kind of disgruntled with the way you were brought up, I guess?
It's funny, good question. No one's ever asked that. I don't think so. Potentially, subconsciously, something was going on I didn't realize, but not because of him telling me no. It was purely, I literally started my first day of accounting. I graduated in 91 with my accounting degree. Commuted into Manhattan for the first day of work. I was flat as could be. Didn't really understand it. Should have been excited first day the rest of my life, starting a new career. I got introduced to a bunch of associates, bosses. About 11 a.m., I was given a task. Next thing I know, I wake up head in hand. I probably fell asleep for a minute or so. I get up, go to this cubicle of another associate I just met, seemed like a really cool guy. I'm like, what's up, brother? You like this stuff? He's like, fuck no, I hate it. I'm like, yeah, man, there's no way that I'm sitting in a cubicle for the next 30, 35 years, making no difference to anyone. I'm like, I need to sit down and think about what I want to do. Literally before lunch, I'm like, I'm done with this profession already. And then went deep introspective, and law enforcement was what I felt the calling for at that time.
You said that you played sports in high school. What kind of sports?
Played sports, mostly hockey. That was my big thing. Actually played in college as well. Fun fact, I actually played John Cooper, the coach of Tampa Bay Lightning, and I were teammates for his 5th year. So he played, Hofstra had a D1 lacrosse program. He exhausted his eligibility, got his master's degree in his 5th year, and we were a club team. We played some D3 teams. Ice hockey is only Division 1 and Division 3 in college. There's no 2. So, we were a pretty decent team, but was with Cooper for that year. He was a great hockey player as well. And, that was it. Hockey is my sport. I love it. Baseball was probably my other biggest sport after that, but hockey by far.
How did you get into hockey?
My dad just gave me a stick and roller skates at the age of 7. We had a school, literally like 4 houses down across the street. We had the school there that had a roller rink. So I just started when I was young. I played mostly roller growing up. My 2 cousins who lived in Connecticut played travel, and it was very expensive. So my dad didn't like spending money too much. So he never really put me in ice hockey. He used to beg. I'm like, just put me in a house league. I don't have to be travel. But I finally only started skating around 15. So I was very far behind, but busted my ass. I used to skate year round, probably like 3 or 4 times a week. So I was able to catch up fairly quick. Although if I would have started at 7, I guarantee I could have, well, I don't like saying stuff like that, but I think I could have played D1 had I started earlier.
Well, I say, what was that transition like going from roller hockey to ice hockey?
It wasn't too bad. It was fairly smooth. Initially the ice skating was horrendous. It's 2 different worlds going from 4 wheels. We didn't have the rollerblades at the time, so it was those quad wheels. And I picked it up fairly quick, though. I've pretty good balance. And like I said, I love practicing. So, if I wasn't playing hockey, we were doing public skating every week. And it's just something I love to do.
Nice. You said you had a younger sister?
Yes.
Profession that she go down?
She's an attorney. We're actually estranged, I guess you could say. So other than that, I don't like talking about that girl for 5 seconds.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Interesting, though, that you went down law enforcement and she's an attorney. Kind of, I guess, maybe similar ends of the spectrum a little bit there.
Yeah, she became an ADA for a minute as well, and then went into something else.
What I know you don't want to talk about it. In New York, did you guys ever have any like corresponding cases or anything like that, or no?
No, she was in another county. So I was by the time I came back, she was already out of the law enforcement side of things. She went into private practice after that.
Gotcha. Going through college, accounting, not a huge fan of it. Then you go down to Georgia and become a cop? Why Georgia?
Great question. So once I decided that I wanted to get into law enforcement, FBI was the first route, my preferred route. They were on a hiring freeze at the time. So this is late 91. And all federal agencies were on a hiring freeze, which lasted, I think, till 97, could have been 98. So that door closed, wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then I had met the brother of a friend of mine. He worked for TWA. They had gone bankrupt. Delta ended up buying many of the shops. So he worked in a welding shop. So they came in and told all the guys, if you want jobs, it's yours. You just have to relocate down to Atlanta, which is the headquarters. He had been down there for about a year, and we just spoke about it. He loved it. They'd gotten a 3-bed, 2-bath house, half acre, built-in pool for like $100,000, 5,000 down. It was young. They were building up for the Olympics. I'm like, you know what? I always wanted to get out of New York, live elsewhere and kill two birds here, get some law enforcement experience. When these guys start hiring again, I'll start applying and hopefully get right in with them. So that was the plan.
What year did you get hired down in so you went to Atlanta directly?
Yes.
What year?
August of 93.
And what year was Olympics in Atlanta?
96.
How were your first 3 years before the Olympics?
They were nuts. So first night out of the academy, we finished the academy on a Monday. We graduated after field training. So we just got done. I get my first assignment, which was Zone 3, baby. It's nicknamed Little Vietnam, and appropriately so. So I started, my first field training week was midnight tours. Started at 11 p.m. Excuse me. By 12 a.m. was at my first homicide scene. Crazy story. Excuse me. So my FTO takes me over to the scene. There's a car kind of, yellow taped around, and I look in there and there's brains everywhere in the windshield. Obviously, a dead guy in the driver's seat. Dead guy was a captain in the Atlanta Fire Department. He had been suspended for allegations of him and younger girls, sexual allegations, which I guess came to fruition that night. He ended up that night picking up a prostitute. She ended up being 16 years old. Then he decided he wanted to smoke crack, so he goes to get a rock, pulls up to the local dope boy. And what are the odds of this? Dope boy looks in the car, and who does he see but his 16-year-old cousin? Takes a gun out, one in the head, made coleslaw out of cabbage. That was it. Literally first hour. And then 4 a.m., my partner needed a little nap. We used to work 5 and 2s and extra jobs as well. So those midnight guys are always exhausted. He's out like a light. It's so funny because my head is on a swivel. I'm like, I can't believe this guy's sleeping. Holy shit, we're in Atlanta. With that, she's like, dispatch raises us. She's like, 1301, start for 50 and 4, which is a shooting with an ambulance en route. Before I could say his name, this dude inclines his seat, puts it in drive, hits the gas, and copies the call. I'm like, holy shit, I'm riding with Superman. It's unbelievable. So cruise over there, and this guy had gotten shot. I think it was over a drug deal. Not even sure. I forget the reason why. But I remember walking up to his body. He was on his back, and eyes were wide open. It had just rained a little bit. It was like April, so it was a little bit of smoke coming off his body. And I remember just looking down in his eyes. And it always, every scene that I was ever at, homicide anyway, I used to always think like, man, this dude was alive and living his life 5 minutes ago. And now he's just gone. Like, it always struck me as just a few minutes ago, everything was fine. And now nothing.
So that's an insane first day.
Yeah.
What are your aspirations in law enforcement? Do you want to be on any specialty units or anything like that? Are you happy like making these runs of people being dead everywhere?
I guess at the time when I first started, I was just happy to be there. I loved it. I mean, the action, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so the action was unbelievable. I mean, constant pursuits, foot, car, shootings. It was just nuts. Running dope. Stolen cars and dope are my two things. So, you know how that goes. I was always in chases. At the time, I don't know. There aren't too many avenues to go in Atlanta at first. I really wasn't thinking too much about a detective route. They had a detail called Red Dog, which was a street level narcotics team. They would ride around 4 deep in a car. They had black BDUs. You know, it was like that was a decent detail I was thinking about. And then one of my buddies started telling me about Motorcycle Squad because he was on it. He's like, "Morgs, you got to come here." He's like, "We kill it with extra job money." You know, they were known to make all these big money with the extra jobs. And he's like, you know, we go to work sometimes. It's 10 by 8, so we'll have roll call at 3:30. 10 tickets, come back 8 o'clock, gone. I'm like, not bad, not bad. So ended up, that was the route I went. I had a great relationship with my major. Told him, you know, I'd love to go to motors, and he was really tight with the major on motor side. He's like, "All right, Mugs." He's like, "I'll make a call." Comes back. He's like, "You're the next one going over when it happens." I was like, nice. So I ended up going over there in like June of '98.
Is that all on motorcycles?
Yes.
With the other unit that you were interested in, was that more like Jump Up Boys, I'm guessing?
Yeah, pretty much like that. And I don't know. I was thinking about that, and there's so many personalities that I would hear stories about these guys, and you get one bad egg, and you're riding around him for 8 hours, and riding, the deal. Riding with one person is tough, man. You're riding with three other dudes every day. That is, eh, that can be difficult.
A lot of alpha personalities in one vehicle.
Exactly. You throw four alpha males in the car, man. One, this guy wants to do this, this guy wants to do that. I mean, it was just a lot to deal with him. I just didn't want the drama.
I think it's pretty evident that I'll probably be speaking at the Justice X conference, but I wanted to give my little instructor spiel like everyone else's. And the main reason is because I wanted to come in here and thank all these amazing instructors that are willing to donate their time away from their family, their profession, and their friends to come and make the profession better. I don't know how I became so lucky with the ability to surround myself with amazing people in this profession. I have some of the most amazing friends in this profession. They're the most selfless individuals willing to go out on a whim and put a conference together with me and just to try to make the profession a little bit better. And I don't know how I pulled this off. I don't know what it is, but I'm beyond grateful for them. That being said, when I speak at the conference, communication is the biggest thing to me. I think that communication is the most important tool that we have as cops, and that's not verbal communication. That could be nonverbal communication. I'm going to focus a lot of my instruction on that aspect, where communication is universal. It doesn't have to just pertain to interdiction. It's all of law enforcement. If you have the ability to communicate with someone that is a multimillionaire and a guy that's homeless living on the street, your career is going to be a lot more fruitful. And you have this ability to have a lot more empathy when you're communicating and understanding and being actively listening. Someone else came up with this. I love it, so I'm going to throw it out there. As cops, we are often waiting to respond and we're not actively listening, but you can't do them both. So I think as cops, you ask a question, engage, and actively watch what their response is. It doesn't have to be this such a strict format of what you're asking, chronological order or anything like that. Let a conversation flow like you're talking to one of your friends. Don't just be so rigid. And that's where I think a lot of us fail, and it's not our fault. Until you know that you're doing it wrong, you'll never know. Like I was very robotic as a cop, and I couldn't communicate with people. I know that for a fact. I'm introverted, and I go to the police academy and all this other stuff. But anyways, I can't wait to see you in South Carolina in April of 2026 with all these amazing instructors. How big is Atlanta at that time, officer wise?
We were supposed to be optimal was 2,500, but we were probably always around 1,500, something like that.
Damn, you're always that low?
Yeah. Oh, brother, it was nuts. We had 10 sector cars in my precinct and then 2 umbrella cars. So we had zone 3 would be broken up into A sector and B sector. So you'd have 5 cars in A, 5 cars in B, and then 1 umbrella in each. So he could go anywhere in the in each sector. So 12 cars he was supposed to turn out with, theoretically. I've been to work where we turn out 5 cars because there's no overtime. So if someone bangs out and there's not enough bodies, cars pulled. So I remember that one of those days, and it was numerous days, it wasn't just one, where we had 5 bodies. I went to a shooting Hamlet alone because everyone else was on major calls. Imagine that one.
Insane.
Alone on a shooting.
That is
unbelievable.
Insane. Back in the day, what was Atlanta's pay like? Because I just know down south they don't make as much typically.
Oh yeah, it sucked. Top pay was probably around 50, but they used to freeze our pay every year, basically. So I was there 10 years. They froze our pay, I think 4 or 5 of those years. So, it was ridiculous to reach top pay. And it wasn't even like the raises were that incredible. It were probably, I don't know, maybe like 2,000 a year, something like that. So, you can work extra jobs and make decent amount of money, but then you're working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. So you start getting burned out as well.
That's crazy. Yeah. At the time, did they have a pension?
Yeah. Yeah, we had to pay into a pension, and then we had to, from day one, we had to pay into a healthcare, which is funny. The entire time I was with Suffolk until about maybe like the last 2 or 3 years, didn't have to pay a dime into healthcare. But Atlanta in '93, we already had to pay. And
wow.
Some of the policies were outrageous. I had to go to a HMO because the PPO just got so expensive. I think it was like $220 a month, and then I had like a $2,500 deductible, something like that. So before I got a dime back, I had to pay out over $5,000 a year.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't think that I might be misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure that Georgia's one of the states that has went away from their pension. You can buy into like a 401k or something like that, but they don't have pensions anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they are one of the ones that did it, but I would think that they probably are. If
It's
anyone would do
crazy.
it, yeah, it really is.
So you were there for
Nuts.
1996. How was the Olympics?
Olympics for me sucked. So prior to them starting, they literally just drew names out of a hat to see who was going to be on the Olympic detail and who was going to stay in the precinct. So I ended up getting my name chosen to stay in the precinct, which I was pumped at. I thought the rumors were the details were going to be horrible. So ended up total opposite. Those guys had like the greatest thing going. I ended up working. We worked 12-hour tours, 6 on, 1 off for those 3.5 weeks, and I literally was averaging over 30 calls a day. It was nuts. From the minute I got there until it was 7 A to 7 P, it did not stop. And I was arresting people left and right. It was just nuts, man. Bunch of shootings, um, car thefts. They would break into cars like it was going out of style. It was nuts. I was getting killed with car breaking. So I went up to one of the scalpers. I'm like, hey, brother. He's like, what's up, New York? And I don't know how I got that nickname, but I said, listen, man, I never mess with you guys, right? He's like, nah, you straight. Because I was always cool with those guys. And I said, I need your help. Otherwise, they're going to start making me crack down on you guys. I'm like, I'm getting murdered with car break-ins. I go, here's my card. If you see anyone breaking into cars, hit me up. Next day, bam, phone's ringing. He's like, yo, New York, I got 2 right now. They're in the car. Gives me a description, roll out, snatch both of them up. I had tools, so I got them for entering an order to felony and possession of burglar tools. So cool, made the case. That stopped. And even better, a week later, we get a shooting right across the street from the Olympic Stadium. Everyone shows up to this thing. I mean, everyone. So one of these dudes pulls me aside, a scalper. He's like, oh, New York. He's like, one of those boys you arrested last week did it. I'm like, really? I'm like, which one? He tells me. So, all right, cruise over to the house. Ding dong. Mom comes to the door. I'm like, where's Tay Tay? She's like, he's right here. So I'm like, come here, man. Come outside. He's already crying. I'm like, turn around, cuffed him up. I'm like, where's the gun? He's like, under my bed. Sergeant goes in, comes out 2 seconds later, the gun. Chief was there and everything. I'm like, yeah. So that was pretty cool. Not that anything came out of it, but it's nice for the chief to be there, and just an example of police work, going out there talking to these guys. Not that he was a CI, but you treat people with respect. You turn around and talk them up. A lot of times they'll help you out. Just offer a little something, something to them.
No, yeah, that's for sure. Why did they not try to get, I don't know, maybe outside agencies or anything to help with Olympics there? Like they just.
Oh, they were there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone was there. Like GSP, Georgia State Patrol was there. Sheriffs were there. I mean, any unit within Atlanta was there, and then Atlanta is inside Fulton County, so we each have our own separate, distinct boundaries. But those guys, Fulton County Police, were there. A lot of federal agencies were there. It was a ton of people, but we needed more. Let's put it that way. And we should have been doubled up.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you. Were you doubled up or you solo?
No, solo. We had 2 cars that were 2-man cars, and that's only because they were absolutely insane. And actually, one of them was only a 1-man car during the day. They would only have 2-man in the evening watch and morning watch. It was insane the way we worked and the way we worked. My cousin came down. He did a ride along with me. He used to work in the A3, East New York in New York City, and he's got the same last name. We call each other Morgs. He looks at me. He's like, Morgs, you gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm like, why? He's like, this is insane. And like I said, East New York is a pretty tough neighborhood. I'm like, A3's worse, not as bad as this. He's like, bad. He's like, I work at a country club compared to this. I'm like, yeah, bro, this is all I know, man. This is my normal. He's like, this is insane. So I ended up learning that it was insane.
Were you working the day of the bombing?
I was 7A to 7P. So I woke up the next morning, alarm clock, at a music station. Some guy's talking. I'm like, that's weird. So I quickly realized what was going on. and just started making phone calls. So I spoke to a lot of my buddies who were literally right there, and they said it was insane. What's nuts is they told them to clear the park, and these guys are going through, and a lot of the press aren't leaving. So the bosses are like, clear that park. I don't care what you have to do. So these guys were loving life. They're like, man, we cleared that park. We were like tossing press, reporters and photographers on the ground. There was nothing they could do. These guys were loving life, but they said it was sick. And, thank God none of my buddies got hurt, but that poor lady ended up getting killed.
Yeah, man, I couldn't imagine. How was work going into the next couple of days? Was it on everyone on eggshells just for the thinking there might be more than one, or?
Nah, I mean, not with me anyway. We were just balls to the wall, so it wasn't even like we had time to sit there and talk about it. It was literally, as soon as you pull in, bam, 302 stuff for this. It was non-stop, so we didn't have time to think about it.
Was it noticeable the influx of people there?
Oh yeah, place was packed. It was weird. Traffic. There was no traffic because everyone sounded the alarm prior to stay out of Atlanta for those 3 weeks. So people would whatever accommodations they made. Stuck. I mean, I don't know if they're working from home. Like every day I was commuting, there was no one on the road. It was
Wow.
weird. Yeah, it was like ghost town. But then, foot traffic was insane everywhere.
The people committing crimes, were they all locals or were they people coming in? Okay.
For the most part, I'm sure there was organized stuff going on as well from out of towners, but everything that I was dealing with was local, my local doughboys.
When did you leave Atlanta?
November of 03.
Oh wow, you're there for a while.
Yeah, a little over 10.
Any pension or 10-year pension or no?
No, they were at the time. It's funny. It was 15 at the time, and then to vest. When I left 6 months later, they changed it to 5. So
That sucks.
yeah, had I stayed, I would have got $300, $350 pension at the age of 55. So it would have been somewhat of a car payment.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Amazing the way it worked out.
What convinced you to go up to New York, and what part of New York did you go to?
So I went to Suffolk County Police Department, and that's the east end of Long Island. I ended up living in West Islip. I guess there were a few things. One, the pay was incredible compared to Atlanta. I mean, when I left in 2023 after my career was done, our average was about 175 for a PO. It's insane. That's without overtime. Quality of life is better. My family was still up there. Lifelong friends were up there. It just seemed like it was the right thing to do in retrospect. I don't know if it was because I wasn't that happy at first anyway. I tell people never make decisions based on money. Not that it was my sole decision or sole reason, but you have to be happy with what you're doing. The money will follow. If you're miserable, it doesn't matter how much you're making.
So this was 2 years after September 11th that you went up there?
Yep.
What was policing like around that time compared to what you were used to in Atlanta?
It was night and day.
This is a better area, or
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, anything could be considered better than
Gotcha.
where I worked. It's amazing. The worst part of where I worked would probably be considered a country club compared to any part of where I worked in Atlanta. It was a totally different animal. I mean, I literally had to get used to people not spitting on the street every time I passed them, not effing the police, people waving at us when we drove by. I remember one time, that guy just waved at us, asked my FTO. He just starts laughing. He's like, that's not Atlanta. I'm like, bro, it's F the police, everyone you pass. People thanking us, you go in line, you go in a deli, people offer to buy us food. I'm like, I literally had to do a mind reset. I'm used to dealing with hardcore perps all the time, and now I'm dealing with normal people. As funny as it sounds, it was a big adjustment for me, to be honest with you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Aspirations when you got there, did you want to just stay in patrol? Did you have aspirations to do anything else?
Canine was my one and only aspiration, and it was weird the way it worked out. My ex-wife's uncle was really good friends with the deputy commissioner of Nassau County, which is the neighboring PD. So he retires about a year into my career, and he calls me up. He's like, "Listen, I'm retiring. Do you want me to make a phone call on your behalf to get you anywhere?" My dumbass is like, I'm too new. If I go, to K9 now, these guys aren't gonna like me. I just got here. They're gonna know I had a hook. I'm like, no, I'm good. When in fact, I should have been like, absolutely. Can you get me to K9? Get there, and those guys would have seen that I was, a real cop, not some clown that just got over there with a phone call. But ended up never got to K9, unfortunately. That was one stupid ass move. Not saying yes to that.
I gotcha. Is Atlanta still as bad as you're making it sound, or have they cleaned up a little bit?
No, I think it's as bad. Yeah.
I guess you just don't hear it when you think of the Chicago's, the New York's, like the Los Angeles's. I guess Atlanta just gets kind of missed in that huge crime area.
Yeah, you know what it is? Atlanta doesn't have the organized gangs like those other guys have. They have instead of having like a Blood or a Crip, you would have whatever the project is, like Englewood Homes would be the Englewood Boys or something like that. So it's more localized and not as big. If you had those organized gangs, and they may have them more now, I'm not sure. I don't know how they didn't infiltrate, to be honest with you. It makes no sense to me. But then I think you would have had a much worse problem. As bad as it was, I think it would have been much worse with an organized gang problem.
That's kind of how Chicago is now. I mean, I love what Trump's doing because of the whole dope game. I'm all about taking out the top dogs, but there was a huge vacuum in Chicago when they took out the top dogs, and all these, say you had like 5 major gangs. When you take out the heads, all it created is instability, and then multiple little gangs and no structure. Like none of the unwritten rules and all this stuff. So now all you have is these little gangs, and like they even fight within each other and shoot each other. It's like there is so much chaos within it. There's not a lot of organization, and I don't know. Like I mean, they're all criminals. You know what I'm saying? You're shooting at people,
Oh, yeah.
having people killed, but like I don't know what's worse. Like this, where at any day you're gonna have multiple shootings, or where you have top dogs and they have kind of somewhat of control and structure. Still, people are getting killed, but I feel like there was less innocent people dying back in the day compared to now.
Yeah, when you have a semblance of order, you're not getting as much collateral damage, 100%. And it's so funny. It's weird to say, but yeah, you'd rather see like a little bit of organization there as opposed to that vacuum that's got to be filled by someone. And
and
clowns are going to try.
And that's what worries me when Trump's taking out the heads of the cartels, or that's his goal. Like, are you going to have that even on a larger scale, where now it's going to be like, I can't even imagine in another country, like you don't have the top dogs and you have all these little, I don't know, fractions fighting and killing each other, trying to be the top dog or whatever their goal is. I don't know. It's a little scary. I mean, you got to do something, but I don't know. I don't have the right answer. That's for damn.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, that war on drugs is never going to be won. So you're just trying to keep it as the damage to a minimum as much as possible, I guess.
Yeah, I hate the terminology war on drugs. Like, if anything, it's just I guess you're trying to mitigate it, and
Yep.
having the fear of the criminal justice system is a big fear. But if you don't have supportive judges and prosecutors that instill that fear for dealing drugs, it kind of hampers law enforcement, because we can only do so much. And if there's no fear, like, oh, I can deal drugs and I'm not gonna do any time and all this other stuff, like that whole fear of going to prison has to be in place still. And if you have weak judges that aren't sentencing people to time for dealing drugs, it hinders us from being effective, I feel like.
Yeah, no deterrent. 100% right.
When you're in Suffolk County, did you stay in patrol the whole time, or did you have any?
Yeah, stayed in patrol the whole time. Patrol there is, it's actually good quality of life. We have whatever Atlanta's got, but in a much less quantities. Ended up we had an anti-crime squad that we formed in 2007 for a few months. That was great. We did a lot of undercover stuff, plain clothes. We were going into bars. That was pretty cool. So they give you money, you go into bar, just chill, kind of observe, see what's going on. Those guys hit it like a half hour later. And I'm just watching to see who's dropping dope, who's dropping guns. Love doing that stuff. We were hitting like street racing locations. It was cool because it was like real police work. You know, we want you to hit this, hit this, hit this. We want bodies, and they would go. They were trying to make bigger cases as opposed to just hit a rock where you arresting a guy for that. They wanted to kind of go up the tree, which is awesome. I love real police work.
When you with New York and the current political climate, was it still were you guys influenced by like the New York City aspect of it all, or no?
No, we were kind of our own entity on the island. We ended up getting Rodney Harrison, who was a former chief in NYPD, probably around 2015 ish. So we started bringing out some of those policies from the NYPD, which didn't work. That's what cracks me up about some of these things these guys bring out. Don't shoehorn these policies in that didn't work in that department, thinking it's going to do something different in this department. Past results are your best indicator of performance, and a lot of times it didn't work. And we were always advocating for not bringing on NYPD bosses as commissioner slot, or actually that was it, deputy commissioner or commissioner.
What who is that, an elected position or is that an appointed by?
No, it's appointed by the county executive. So instead of
And
a mayor, we have like a county executive in the counties.
and for some reason they didn't go with your suggestion of not doing this with this one?
Yeah, you know what it was? The guy before, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. It'll come to me. But he got arrested for corruption by the FBI. Um, he ended up, his car got broken into by this crackhead. So he ends up, after they caught him, going to the precinct and hitting him, threatening him. And this guy went to whoever he went to. Feds turned around and flipped a couple of cops, threatening them with, federal time. And they flipped on him, as they should. And then this moron got arrested for some sort of corruption. I forgot the exact charges, but he ended up doing, I think, 4 years.
Damn.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Oh my God, it's scaring me. I'll come up with it. He's actually a really intelligent guy too. He just had a proclivity for prostitutes, and he was a sexual deviant, man. Like this.
So this wasn't the only thing that he was doing wrong?
No.
I got
His
you.
name was actually coming up for the Gilgo Beach murders.
Oh,
People
shit.
they were talking about him because he had been known to party out there and in that area where the bodies were found, and he actually got arrested for, I don't know if it's propositioning or he's actually with a male in a park after he got out of his federal prison sentence. So I don't know what his deal was. I know he was hanging with a crackhead when he was the sergeant. He used to work in the first precinct, and this girl used to come in. What the hell's his name? I cannot think of his name right now. Wes, whatever his name at, and these guys would be like, "What?" And sure enough, it ended up being like well known. Like he was hanging with her, and he loved prostitutes. I don't know what it is. I've seen a few guys here and there. This prostitute thing, man. I don't know what it is, but these lunatics have a fetish for them.
Is where those bodies being found, is that in your county?
Yes.
So you were working during this time?
Yep. I think it started in 2010 when they started finding the bodies.
Damn. What at the time that it was happening, were you guys thinking that it was because someone I don't know, I watched something on Netflix about it, not that you brought that up, and they were saying like someone of importance was like downplaying it, saying it was like random acts of violence and it wasn't that nothing consistent or something along those lines.
Yeah, we had at the time Commissioner Richard Dormer, who wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, and he was coming out and making his own, I guess, talking about his own theories. It was so funny because he's talking about his own theory, and the DA's sitting next to him in a press conference, and he's like shaking his head no as this guy's talking. I'm like, you guys need to get in the same sheet of paper, man. It's embarrassing. I mean, it's just like a worldwide news event here. It's not like a local thing. But yeah, there was a few things going on at the time, and this guy that I'm forgetting right now, he was there. All right, so he came on after Dormer left, and he kicked the feds off of Yeah, he kicked the feds off the investigation. My timeline's a little screwed up right now, but everyone was like, "What? Why are you doing that?" So when people started talking about him, everyone's like, "Yeah, why do you think he's doing this?" Turned out not to be him, but it looked quite weird, quite suspicious when he was what he was doing.
Maybe that was just a guilty conscience because it ended up being like prostitutes ended up dying, right? And he had a relationship with prostitutes, so maybe he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, man, yeah, this is a little too close for comfort. Let's get the feds out of here so I don't get in trouble.
exactly. I think it was
Man,
more along the lines he wanted us to have the glory if the guy was caught.
I got you.
But you know, it was such a stupid move. They have so many more resources than we have.
Yeah, that because that's banned forever, man. Like how many years? When did he finally get caught?
He got caught. What are we? 25. I think he got caught in 22. Yeah, I think he got caught 3 years ago. Still hasn't gone to trial. I mean, it's a huge case. I'm sure it's complex. They have
Yeah.
debts of rights. They have DNA everywhere, and I don't know if you've seen like you saw the Netflix thing, but they have his list of things to do in preparation and things to do next. I mean, he's done.
He was a wealthy guy too, or something, right? Like had money. Like
No, he was an architect, but far from.
Oh,
wealthy.
okay. I got you. Maybe I just saw the architect and I just put money together, kind of related.
Yeah.
I don't know. Married though? Was he married?
Yeah, married. Supposedly he was doing it. We just saw another special last month. He was timing his family's vacations, which he would not go on, and with his spree. So every time they went away, they were able to track down a family vacation, and it just coincided perfectly. Family was away every time he killed someone.
Wow.
Yeah,
That shit's scary, man. Yeah, that shit's scary.
Yeah, the human mind is crazy, man.
While you're working in all these, what was your outside law enforcement like to keep you sane?
Let's see. I guess tried to have a friend group that included non-police. Number one, I've always been in the gym, trying to stay healthy and keep my mind right. Eat clean. Still sports periodically. Training, fighting as well. What else? Love the beach. Yeah, I love being outside. I always have 2 dogs. They keep me busy. Yeah, nothing where I have like this number one hobby where it takes up all my time, but just try to stay busy.
Yeah, I mean, working out I think is a huge stress reliever. So
Yeah,
you kind of encompassed a lot of that with what you said.
huge. Yeah, I mean, we especially in these professions have to get out and get moving. I don't care what your workout consists of, just an hour a day, man. Do something. You have to do something, and a healthy diet is. Even if you're not exercising too much, a healthy diet will change your body composition. Whereas if you're training and you're eating like shit, your body composition is really not going to change. But just a healthy diet is so important as well.
Yeah, it's kind of where I struggle at times. I have
Yeah.
my good moments, yeah, but the gym's always there. Our department is pretty awesome. We got a PD since I've been here, and we have a cardio room with like wrestling mats, and then we have a weightlifting room, and
Nice.
you're allowed to use depending. I mean, for the patrol guys, it kind of sucks, and girls, but a lot of times you're allowed to take an hour, depending calls, service or whatever. But you can work out for an hour on your shift, so you really don't have an excuse. I mean, sure, patrol. There's going to be days where but our call volume is nothing like you're doing within Atlanta. So,
So is that an hour meal and an hour to lift?
So we theoretically we don't get any lunch breaks.
Okay.
Kind of because we're not like jammed calls for service.
Yep.
But they let you dress out, keep your radio, put on gym clothes, go lift for an hour, and then if something major happens, then you got to get the hell out of there. But
Right.
but yeah, and then you kind of just eat between your calls. But
Gotcha.
a lot of the people at the agency utilize it. So it's cool to see. It's kind of built a culture within the agency, especially if you have people working out at the same time. You kind of hold each other accountable and stuff. A lot of times in the morning, you have admin and detectives in there, and it's if someone's not there, then they start getting text messages about they're going to get diabetes and shit, and us talking. So,
Not like peer pressure, baby.
Yeah. So once you start getting in that routine, if you fall off, you'll get in some group messages where you're just getting shit talked to you the whole time.
That's awesome. What's nuts in Suffolk? Our union was so good that we would get paid for missed meals. So say I went to clear a meal. If she's like denied, pick up whatever. Okay. ask again. I think it was 3 dials, and you get paid. That was kind of frowned upon. Could have been 2, but I think it was 3. Um, it's kind of frowned upon doing so, but literally, you could put in for a missed meal, which was like I think lunch was like $8 or something like that. So just like having that in the contract was nuts to me.
That is you guys have a PBA out there that's pretty strong, right?
Yeah, very strong. It's like the mafia, man.
we have a we,
It
we have
really
an we have an we don't have PBAs out here. We have FOPs,
Mhm.
and they're not as strong as the PBAs out east. The East Coast PBAs are like it's crazy the amount of impact and influence they have.
Oh yeah, big money to get involved in politics, and it's literally, man, it's like the mafia. Like some of the stuff you would see, like how they do that, or just I don't know what they're doing or how they're getting it done, but guaranteed is money getting exchange or favors or something. But our contract was insane. Like if you would see some of the benefits we would get, it was cannot complain. It was a great job.
I wish that in some of those cities that they would do more, and 'cause, like our FOP will, they'll kind of stand out on a ledge against the politicians. I wish the PBA, with how strong they are, if they had a strong vote support more of, I guess, the proactive policing aspect of it in some of those major cities out east, I think that it would go a long way. And I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they probably just don't have the power, nothing to back it up. If push comes to shove, I would think, these guys are a totally different animal. They go to bat for us, and I love them. I mean, some of the things that they did, I didn't agree with, but um, unfortunately, they're going to back the shitheads up as well. So you see these lazy people doing, not working. They're getting the same representation as you, or do some effed up stuff, and you're like, oh my god, they're backing this guy up. But that's where that's what ends up happening as well. So sometimes you're not too happy with the way they operate.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I will say that like I've seen them in those situations where it's their job, and other officers and part of the PBA, they'll go out on a ledge and they'll be very vocal then about supporting them, even if it is questionable things like you're talking about. But yeah, so I guess that's true. That is a good thing on how vocal they are, and how much they do support their guys, even if they do some questionable shit.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into what you're doing now, man.
Absolutely.
This is for me. We talked prior to this, but this is what I wanted to get through the entire time. I think that what you're doing now is so commendable, and I think that it needs to be this way across the board, more vocalized and more talked about, and not even in just like the military and police work, but even fire departments. I looked the other day, and I think in 2024 there was 284 firemen that died in the line of duty or on the job, and then combined with cops committing suicide. And I look at that. No, yeah, I take that back. It was 284 cops and firemen that had committed suicide.
I was gonna say numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the combined number of in the line of duty deaths and cops killed was a less number. It was maybe I think it was like 260 to 284, something like that. But I'm like, so if all of the first responders are dealing with the same type of shit that is driving us to do things that rationally we wouldn't do, I think that it needs to be talked about and needs to be discussed. We need to fucking figure it out. And I'm very happy, like someone of your stature, you're a big ass dude. You're willing to open up about things that you have dealt with. I think it goes a long way. Just based on your stature alone, like if some dude that is massive is willing to talk about his feelings and things that he did wrong and right, and I think that as a profession, it should be easy for us to open up about it. And the more that people talk about it, the easier it becomes. So that's my little speech. I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot, truly. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's conversations like these that need to be taking place around a nation. My come to Jesus moment, if you will, happened in the spring of 2023. So I had gotten injured on duty in September of 2020, blew out my back, I herniated 4 discs. So I ended up getting surgery in April of 21. That corrected some issues, but still one major thing remained. And my neurosurgeon's like, spinal fusion is going to be the only thing that's going to correct that. I said, all right, I tried to avoid it, but we had to do that. So the following April of 2022, I had a spinal fusion. So ended up getting retired that following October. So that was basically 2 years to the day that I got hurt. And then got retired. Had to go one more year for my workers' comp case. So that was 3 years of no work, no volunteering, no gym. I built one in my house, but essentially wasn't allowed to do that. The department's got a group that goes around and tries to videotape guys and girls who are long-term line of duty injuries just to catch you doing something. They'll literally present evidence in court if you're getting in your car too smoothly. Like, see, he's not hurt. Look at the way he just got in his car. So you really have to be careful,
Wow.
even though you have verified injuries. So
Before you go on, what caused your back to completely blow out?
So it was a woman. It was a lift assist. She called in as being 450. She was probably a sandwich short of 5 and change. She was tremendous. And we were helping her up the stairs. I had a rookie with me. I don't know how I got in the back, but I ended up getting in the back. And when I tell you it smelled like ass, that is the understatement of the year. As we're going up, I look to my left. He looks at me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how did I get back here? So I had to lift her right leg up every step. She couldn't do it herself. He's pulling her up. I'm lifting her right leg. So we get to the top stair. We crest that stair. She puts her right foot down. I look down. I see it sliding back. I'm like, no. So I squatted down and just blasted up and nailed her, hit her up the stairs to him. And as hard as I hit her, it wasn't like it was this crazy thing, man. She just budged a little bit. But I felt it, man. I just had that shockwave go through me. We finished the call. I go outside. I'm like, bro, I just blew my back out. He's like, what? And I'm like, yep. I'm like, proud of myself. I didn't squeal like a baby, but I need to call Sarge. So end up going to hospital and ends up, long story short, I had those injuries. So during the course of that time, I wasn't allowed to do anything. Now I have all this idle time. I start thinking, I'm starting to get this anger built up, rage periodically, depression. I was just not happy, and I could not figure out the origination of these feelings. Pretty self-aware. I knew something was up, but I just didn't know what it was. So, realizing now, and this is for guys and girls who are watching right now, is no longer this thing I was 30 years. I'm no longer part of this brotherhood that I was for 30 years. Didn't have really a purpose at that point. I was trying to figure that out as well. So, you guys and girls who are approaching retirement, my one thing, a bit of advice is have something else. Whether it's volunteering, another job, you need a purpose to keep you busy every day when you wake up, something. So I sit down in spring of 23 to watch a Sean Ryan podcast, and he's interviewing a man named Eddie Penny. Eddie's a former Navy SEAL, Team 6 guy, and he's recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan by insurgents, killing all 38 aboard, including 17 SEALs. It was their largest loss of community in one event ever. And Eddie's telling the story of his best friend, Jason Workman, who had gotten killed, and escorting Jason's body back to his hometown of Utah and into Arlington National Cemetery. So as Eddie's telling the story, he's upset, visibly upset, rightly so. I simultaneously began thinking about this call I had 5 years before of a 2-year-old found floating in a pool. It was actually the one call in my 30-year career. I started to cry, but I stopped myself, and I buried it deeply. And I just started crying like a baby. I could not, as it happened, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And kind of figured out shortly thereafter I suffered some sort of PTS. I don't like using the D, but everyone knows it by that. So some sort of PTSD in my career. I always mistakenly thought the PTSD was only caused by seeing your brother or sister next to get killed. But mine was caused by being inside the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over for 30 years. So I realized, I had this. I realized I needed help. Wasn't sure how I was going to go about it. I didn't think traditional counseling was going to do it for me. I didn't think I'd talk to some man or woman sitting behind a desk, tell them what I've done, what I've seen, and they were going to be able to help me in any way, shape, or form. So I had heard these special force operators speaking about psychedelics after coming back, self-professed broken men from war. They were talking about these healing journeys they've been taking, and started really paying attention, started researching. At first I'm like, there's no way, man. I'm not doing this. I smoked weed in high school. That was the extent of my drug usage. And first of all, it's medicine, not drugs. But I'm like, there's no way. And now I'm watching testimonials, I'm researching, I'm seeing these guys talk about it over and over and over. I'm like, man, these dudes are some of the mentally fortitude wise strongest men in the world, and they're coming back broken, and they're now talking about healing. Like, who am I to poo-poo this stuff? So decided we were going to go to Peru because it's the only place I thought you could access these treatments. My wife was on board as well, and we ended up moving to Florida in late 2023. So during the course of that move, my wife was doing some research, found a place called Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church in Orlando, Florida, and that's it. We decided we were going to journey there. So we went there March 1st of 2024, and the weekend was going to consist of 3 ceremonies. First one Friday night, then Saturday morning, and then Saturday night. So during that Friday night ceremony, I literally, I say I was reborn in a non-religious sense. Like, my soul was changed during those 4 hours, and I mean, it was unbelievable. Do you want me to kind of describe the journey itself, or?
Yeah. What is going into this? What are they explaining it's doing to you, either mentally or physically? Like, what is it doing to either get these thoughts out of your mind? Is it like rewiring your brain to think positively about this, or to cope with it? What's going on?
Yeah, so essentially, ayahuasca is made of a tree and then a vine. Can't even think of the word vine. And you take these two and you boil them down in water, and you just keep boiling them down over and over and over. Just filter out the impurities, and that juice is what you drink. So it's DMT is the active ingredient. That's a psychoactive portion, and that's what lets you go deep in these journeys. And the other one's an MAO inhibitor, because if you didn't have that, the body would shut down the psychedelic effects. So essentially they tell you, even though everyone describes it, you're still not sure what you're going to experience. They tell you that you're usually going to, have psychedelic effects. Some people feel like they're talking to people. Some people are transported to like other galaxies. Mine felt like I was looking at a big screen, like a TV, and most people say they sense a female presence. I was the same. It almost felt like a female shaman was with me. She was like in the left-hand corner of the screen. And I remember I just like I had my arms out like wide, and I'm like, please, I need help. I was crying. I'm like, I need help with this anger, this rage, this hatred. I can't get rid of it. And every time I asked for something, it felt like it was getting granted. I was like feeling lighter and lighter. Um, I'm like, I was watching the volunteers work, and they were like so graceful and loving. I'm like, I want to be like them. I want to be more empathetic. And everything I asked for, I just felt like it was being granted. My father and I didn't have a good relationship, so at one point she was bringing him to me. I felt like I could feel her bringing him to me. It was nuts. And in the journey, there's music playing in the ceremony area, but during my journey, it felt like it was building and building and building in volume. And in reality, it was not. And then finally, it hit this crescendo, which just stopped. But in reality, it was still going on. And I felt like I was in the front of the brightest marquee in Vegas, like this bright light, when in fact it was not. And all of a sudden, I'm waiting for him to appear, and I realize eventually he's not showing. Threw my hands in the air. I'm like, fucking coward. I knew he wouldn't show. He couldn't talk about feelings. But it was like instantaneously, the emotional charge of all the memories between he and I was like gone. Like the anger was gone, everything attached to it. And I was like, I didn't even know what to make of it. And, I was just like kind of asking for things to be granted. I'm like, I needed to be at peace with the fact I was no longer a cop, because I was still kind of struggling with that. And I remember, like, I felt like the universe was talking to me, and she said, "You're no longer that. Your time has passed. You did the best you could, but now the young bucks are taking over." And she's like, "You are good." And literally, it was like put to bed like that, man. I was done. I was good with it, and just more things happened. It was just one thing after another. So at the end of the night, and I had 2 coworkers that had committed suicide 3 weeks before from Suffolk County, friends and coworkers. The sergeant ended up killing himself in the precinct locker room. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but towards the end of the journey, the universe is like, you are healed. And it's not like I'm this healed individual, like, healing is linear, I'm done. But, for all intents and purposes, the PTSD was taken care of. And she said, your life's purpose is now to go forth and help other first responders or vets heal theirs. And I was like, okay, I said it out loud. Wasn't sure how I was going to implement it, but said it out loud. And that was it. I had 2 more journeys that weekend. I didn't really have the deep psychedelic effects that I had on the first one. They were more peaceful journeys, but it was weird. Like, the universe was telling me, like, I made you look like this for a reason, so you can walk in the room and have credibility with these men and women when you start speaking. I put you through everything so that you can, speak to them about anything. I actually got hooked on painkillers in 2012, ended up going to rehab. And she was like, substance abuse, they come to you, you talk to that, you went through it. I did that for you for a reason. And I was like, okay. I'm like, literally, I'm a vessel. Anything you want me to do, I'll do. She's like, at one point, I was with American Indians. I remember being in a room, and they were dressing me up. We were going into battle. And someone put, like, the war paint on my face. And she said, no matter when you lived, you would have been a warrior. That is in your spirit. And I was like, okay, I am a warrior. And I don't know, it was just so peaceful. And I literally left that weekend. Like, I not felt like I was a changed man. I felt like things that I had seen my whole life, I was looking at them from a different perspective now. Things that I never noticed, I started noticing now. Um, my wife's always been in this higher consciousness thing. I never was, but now all of a sudden everything started making sense to me. Um, Manifesting, vibrating on this higher frequency, um, just everything that she had been talking about, like things that I used to think were important meant nothing. Um, I, and this is like time that's elapsed from the journey I'm kind of talking about, not just the journey itself. Like, gossiping or talking about some trivial shit meant nothing to me anymore. It's like, I don't know, a deeper meaning in life. And I realize there's so much more going on that we have no idea about. But, I just knew that I wanted to live my life differently. Not like I was this animal, treating people like shit, but I just felt like I have so much more love in my heart. And, I was like, I want to help. It's all I want to do is help these men and women. And, that was it. I ended up doing a Facebook Live that Tuesday. Ended up being 35 minutes. I ended up crying as I was kind of telling everyone what I'd been going through and what I had just experienced over that weekend. And I remember coming back in the house. I told my wife I cried. I'm like, I can't believe I cried. I'm like, I never would have been able to do so prior to last weekend. And if I did, I would have been so embarrassed. I'm like, I'm proud. I just cried in front of people. And I got 3 calls the next day from buddies that have been going through it. My one buddy had a gun in his mouth in a not too distant past, which blew me away. So you never know who's going through what. And then a female family friend that had been going through it as well. So they were like, it just helped me so much just watching you. I'm like, wow, man. So I went back in the house after that last call. I told my wife, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's never in a million years, if you would have told me this over a year and a half ago, would I have believed that I would be talking about what I'm talking about, feeling the way I feel like I'm on this mission now to help, but it's exactly what it's become.
When you're going through this, are you in a room by yourself, or is there many people in there?
No, there was so you're outside. It's what you call it, like alpine chairs that kind of sit in the perimeter. There was probably about 30 people that were also journeying. There's a bunch of mats as well in the front, so if you want to get off your chair and lay in a mat, you do that. So most people do that actually. I don't know. The space is probably about 50 by 100. There's 2 kind of manufactured buildings at the end, and if people want to go in for quiet, they'll journey in there. There's a fire pit, so that's pretty much the source of the light. It's just the fire pit, maybe some bulbs kind of strung up amongst the trees. So it's fairly dark. But again, as I was going through journey, man, it felt like there was spotlights on me. It was just crazy. And I was also seeing like the most vivid, dynamic, bright colors I've ever seen in my life. Like the fire was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Like you just become one with nature. I don't know if it sounds funny, but it's a beautiful experience. People going through profound pain. You'll hear screaming, you'll hear crying, you'll hear men screaming. and later when you do integration, that's basically what people talk about. Was how they're going to continue this forward. Brother, you will hear some stories that'll blow you away. And one thing I take away is the amount of men who have been sexually abused is mind-boggling to me. I mean, mind-boggling. I think I've heard 20% is the number of estimates of grown men that have been abused throughout their lives. Man, I would think it's closer to 40.
Wow.
It's just crazy to see. So although there's profound pain going on in these ceremonies, there's profound healing as well. It's just beautiful to see.
Why did they break it up into 3 separate sessions? And are you going home in between these sessions? Or
No, you sleep on at the site during the weekend, and yeah, I mean you could take part in one, or you could take 1, 2, or 3. It's up to you. It's not like a mandatory thing. It's just I wanted to. They were offering 3, so I'm like, I'm sitting for 3. I want to get as much out of this as I can. And like I said, each one is very distinctly different from the other. I've journeyed a total of 11 times now, and they vary widely. I mean, one, I was talking to my dad for like 2 hours straight. Others, it's just kind of like no psychedelics, but you just kind of a lot of times going through the events of your life, things you haven't thought about in years. They say the medicine brings you what you need, not what you want. So you may think, for all intents and purposes, you're going to go down this road today, but man, it's an entirely different route that's set up for you on that journey.
do you feel better the more times you go? Like each time, are you improving, you feel like?
I wouldn't say it's like a cumulative effect. Some of the journeys, you're dealing with. I was estranged with my mom at the end of her life. She's not really popped up yet, but some of them. When I was talking to my dad, it was weird. That weekend was Friday and Saturday night both. Friday night, I was kind of telling him what he did to me, about specific events throughout my life, and then Saturday, I was asking why. Like, why'd you treat me like that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Why'd you punch me across the room? So it was more of like maybe a sad weekend. So yeah, it's not a cumulative effect where you're like getting better and better. Everything is literally from one to the next. It's totally separate and distinct.
Yeah, there. Someone reached out to me recently. It was he's a cop now, but he was in the military. His brother was in the military. Brother passed away. Oh no, brother got hurt. Ended up committing suicide, and he went down to. I didn't realize this, but there's some people in Indiana that are huge supporters that are former special forces, and I guess there's a place in Tijuana, and he was explaining a very similar situation, I guess, and now that he's in law enforcement, he's a huge proponent of it and stuff, and yeah, I don't know. I've been hearing about it. I don't know if you know Cody Alford. I met him a few times and I talked to him, and he's the one that like opened my eyes to it. And I was like, man, I think that the day that I retire, whenever that may be, I don't know if it's something that I absolutely need, but the guy that I became friends with, he said, dude, if you're thinking about it, you should do it. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know. Maybe it will help me. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't have, not that I know of, that I have the same types of, but I guess it was just one triggering moment for you that caused all that to come to head, I guess. So I guess I haven't had that moment. There's been some incidents in my profession where I have, what one of my good friends I always talk about is a clinician. And for me, just talking about incidences that, instead of me replaying them in my mind, has always helped me. And he knows as a friend, like he can't be a practitioner towards me. But if I'm always like, dude, if I say something as your friend that you think, hey, you need to go see someone else, that just say that. But having that confidant that is someone that's not going to judge me while I'm talking about it has always helped me when I've had issues in this profession. And early in the career, I had some issues, some incident I was involved with where someone died right in front of me. And in that situation, I tried to go get help in a different administration, not that, and a different time too, mind you. Like this was early 2000s. No, this was mid 2000s, anyways. And I was told like basically like, who cares? He's a POS, and I was like, well, that doesn't really work for me. Like
Yeah.
that didn't make it go away. Okay, yeah, like so. That's when I opened that door with my friend, and it's always helped me just to talk about it with him. And I know you said you don't go down that avenue. I know for me, it's always helped to, instead of me replaying it in my mind, just to talk about it. And now I'm
Yep.
very comfortable about talking that incident to anyone.
Yeah.
So sometimes from depending on who you are and what you're going through, it could be just talking, or it could be something that you need more, like something that you went down. But I think that just understanding the avenues that are out there, if you're suffering, just do something.
Yeah.
Not drastic. Do something positive to try to improve your mental state.
Yeah. I mean, what you said about talking, I tell people, number one, I read a study recently where it said they conducted a study where 60% of people went through some traumatic event, and just by talking about it, didn't even have to be a clinician, just a close friend, family confidant, whatever, someone who paid attention and cared about what they were talking about. 60% of those people said that was all they needed to kind of cleanse themselves of that. So I tell everyone, talking is the best thing you can do to process it out. Unfortunately, a lot of times we don't do that, as you know. I never did in my career. I would do like the anatomy of a traumatic call. Is we're all there. Someone makes a morbid joke just to break the ice. It's usually silence, other than what we're supposed to do. And afterwards, if you guys are together collectively, maybe you go back to the firehouse for a cup of coffee, whatever it may be. No one says a word because no one wants to talk about anything that you talk about in comparison. Say you're bringing up sports just to break the ice, pales in comparison, and everyone in their heads probably like, "Fuck, that's stupid, man. I'm not bringing it up now." But no one talks about what you guys just went through either. It's like fucking. You could have 10 guys in a room and it's almost silent. It's amazing. But
I agree.
that little just talking about it, man, and we just don't do it. Like, you know, I tell guys and especially bosses, man, just ask you guys, how you doing, brother? I'm all right, Todd. No, talk to me, man. How you doing? Did it, mess you up a little bit? Just talk to me. And that's all it may take a lot of times. Um, I never did in my career. Plus, I had a lot of stuff from childhood, which I didn't realize I had, to be honest with you. And so when you're talking about going, I mean, you've suffered through traumatic events in your life. I'm not saying you need to use psychedelics or anything like that, but um, I think everyone in the world should either drink ayahuasca, try ibogaine. I'm actually going down to do ibogaine probably February or March. Tijuana, Amigo Life Sciences, and I'm actually interviewing Trevor Millar. He's the founder tomorrow on my podcast. It's funny, Cody Alford agreed to be on mine, so still trying to get him on. Dude's busy as hell, but need guys like that. You need guys like Eddie Penny. You need alpha males being vulnerable, talking about this stuff to let other alpha males know that it's not weakness. It's actually absolute strength to speak about this stuff, to raise your hand, to ask for help. It takes balls to raise your hand and ask for help, and unfortunately we're taught as men, first as boys and second as men, talking about and showing emotion is weakness. No, it's actually absolute strength to do that, man. Anyone could push that shit down and act like nothing's happening. And then, where does that get you? Nowhere. You're never going to heal. You're carrying around this baggage, which you can offload if you raise your hand. But unfortunately, we're not taught that, brother.
Yeah, I know. You talked about like like the supervisor and sergeant asking, and I think if you're a good supervisor, I don't think it comes down to that incident and then try to find out how your guys and girls are feeling. If you have a good relationship and like, all right, kids' names, something small, like what sports do the kids play, like these types of things, and you have these conversations outside of what the profession is, then you can gauge if people are suffering and like, hey, how is, I don't know, how's Steve in baseball today, or whatever. Like you have these outside conversations where if you don't, as a leader, have those conversations leading up, and then there's a critical incident, or you think one of your guys or girls are suffering, they're not going to open up to you at that point. Like you've already missed the boat. And I think that as a profession, I think we're getting better at it. I hope. But I think that's where the small things that you don't think matter will be able to dictate how one of your guys or girls are doing and how they're coping with some type of incident.
Yeah. I mean, they need to trust you. If you go to them and you're asking them
Yep.
and they don't trust you, they're not going to open up. So, if any good supervisor worth his salt has a relationship with his guys and girls under him, and you don't have to be besties, but any good supervisor that I've ever worked under cares about their subordinates, and that's the way it should be. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys and girls, man, they get those stripes, and they think it's all about power and flexing on these guys. I'll never understand how they don't realize that supervising out of fear or trying to do so is never going to make men and women loyal to you. They're going to screw you any opportunity they get. They're never going to go out of their way for you. Like, I've had bosses, man, where I would run through a fucking brick wall. Morgs, can you whatever? Sarge, don't ever ask me if I can. Just tell me what you need me to do. Guys, like, I don't understand how these people don't comprehend that if they respect you and they like you, they will do anything that you need to be done.
No, yeah, I agree. For me, like, to bring it up in a group setting too would be hard for me, even if I was struggling with it. Like, that's just it. But if you were to bring it up one on one, but that took me 5-7 years on the job before I understood that. So I think you just have to be able to read your people too. Like, if I was a sergeant, there was 5 guys around me or 5 girls, and I was like, how'd that incident take? Like, and I asked them as a group, more than likely, unless one of them is open and honest, is going to say like this, it might open the floodgates. But I think doing it on a one-on-one basis, more of a peer, or like, I guess, a peer relationship, I think that is going to facilitate the truth more than in a group setting. Because again, the way the profession is, it's like it's a negative persona still. If I'm feeling this way and those 4 people aren't, and I say it all shit, like, I am too weak for the job, or whatever it may be, and that a lot of that's probably just internal in our own mind. We're probably all thinking the same shit, like, that was fucked up, we shouldn't have saw that.
100%.
Normal people aren't, but so that's just something internal that you think. And even me, like, I still think that way sometimes. I'm like, I can't say that shit in front of this person or whatever. But I think that it's more of your own reflection of what someone else is going to say, and it's not the truth. The truth is that you're all feeling the similar way. I feel like.
Yeah, that's why when one opens up, and if I was a boss and I had kind of that collective group, I would approach it by like, "Hey guys, let me ask you a question, man. That call just kind of messed with my head, man. Like, seeing whatever it was you just saw, like, anyone else feeling like that? Because, man, that kind of got to me." And they'll open up once you open up. So, as opposed to like asking you right in front of 4 other people, "Hey, how you feeling again?" No, that's not going to do it. But if you put it on yourself, I guarantee they're going to open up to you 100%, especially if they respect you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is true. Especially if you make yourself, anytime you make yourself vulnerable, it's amazing the amount of people that then will come and tell you their vulnerable stories.
Yep.
Oftentimes,
that's what happened to me.
Yeah, oftentimes in class, like, and yours was even on a podcast, which is crazy. That's cool. In class, I often open up about my family and some of my people in my family, drug addiction and things like that. And within the first 2 breaks, I'll probably have 3 to 4 people in my class that come and talk about, like, that's why they became a cop, and that's why they're so motivated about finding drugs and this and that. There's so many relatable things, not even in this profession. I just think in society, that once you put yourself out there, there's so many people that will attach that because they have something in common with you, and now it's something that they can get off their chest. And I don't know, it just goes a long way being open and honest and being vulnerable. As weird as that sounds, vulnerability opens conversation, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh no, it's 100% true. I mean, that's the greatest gift I've gotten from these medicines, is that it's allowed me to become vulnerable, which I was a closed book, man, emotionally before. Now, I talk about this stuff, and I get guys and girls like nationwide hit me up, DMing me and speaking, and they're talking about like their deepest, most intimate secrets or feelings, and I'm just some dude, but they see me opening up, and they know I'm not going to judge, because, hey, I was just talking about some deep stuff about myself. Whatever you have to talk about yourself, bring it. And 100% true, the vulnerability, and people are always going to identify with trauma. There's no one that's not experienced it. So you start speaking about yours and how it's affected you, everyone that's experienced it or is going through it identifies with it, and you're going to start getting people talking, in a group setting. They're going to come up to you left and right. I mean, I can't tell you how many friends of mine are public speakers and seminars or whatever, at the breaks or afterwards. There's a fucking line of people that are like trauma dumping on you. It actually ends up being exhausting mentally, because everyone's coming to you with their stuff, and you're listening extremely intently. You're going to try and help them out as much as you can, but that's some emotional things they're telling you.
Yeah, I'm introverted by nature too, so um, doing the public speaking thing, and then like for 8 hours, even about something that I absolutely love, which and during the lunch or during the breaks, like you don't get a break and you're there 10 hours talking. Like when I go back to the hotel room, I'm like out. Like I hit the bed and like there's been times I passed out in my polos and my fucking khakis, and I'm like
Uh-huh.
I'm out. Like I don't wake up
Yeah.
till the next morning. Like it just like it drains the life out of me, and I'm never upset about it. It's never mad. I like it just takes a lot out of me not being a very extroverted person. But I mean, I love having those conversations because if I can help someone not only in the profession but on the personal level, it means so much more.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's huge.
So I don't know if you could talk about this, but what's if someone is in need or looking into it, like cost wise, those types of things, or is there grants out there or abilities, the insurance pay it or anything along those lines?
Insurance, no. I mean, most of the stuff's still classified as illegal in most places. Like Colorado's got legalized psilocybin. Texas just passed something. California, I think, was more research oriented. Things are kind of happening left and right here. I need to get a little more up to date on who's doing what, but insurance is not paying out anything. So typically, excuse me, for an ayahuasca retreat, a weekend, it's going to be, I would say, you're going to average about 1,000 to maybe 1,300, something like that, depending on facilities and accommodations. All the places will have accommodations on site because they're not going to allow people to transport themselves off their property afterwards. Ibogaine is definitely more expensive, but also a lot more involved. You have to have doctors on site because they're running EKGs as you're going on through your journeys. Definitely have a paramedic or two on site, and plus they're going to be more days. So I think in Ibogaine, typically most of these programs are like a Monday to a Thursday, possibly a Monday to a Friday. In addition, Ibogaine usually doing 5-MeO DMT, which is like bufo toad, if you ever heard that. Secretions. So what they do is they secrete liquid from a toad,
Okay,
bufo
yeah,
toad,
yeah.
or Sonoran toad, and then they let them dry and they crystallize and they kind of break them up, and it's weird. You smoke it, it looks like you're smoking meth, and so they're usually used in conjunction with each other. You use the ibogaine one day, and a day or two later, you use the 5-MeO DMT. Those, like right now, I know Ambio Life Sciences is for a civilian. I think it's 8,300. First responder or vet, 7,300. There are numerous foundations that you can go through that'll give you grants. My buddy Wiz Buckley's got one, No Fallen Heroes. So if you guys go to that No Fallen Heroes foundation.org, you could apply for a grant through him. I'm using a 343 fund, literally 343 fund. I think it's .org. Angela Scuden is running that one. She's fantastic. Her husband Casey was an FDNY firefighter. He got killed on his birthday and went on a trip to Asheville, North Carolina, and a freaking tree fell on him, man.
Wow.
Unbelievable. So she started that foundation and his legacy. She's doing a phenomenal job. So there are a ton of organizations out there that will sponsor first responders and vets. So you guys just kind of have to do your homework. If you guys ever want to hit me up on Instagram, it's Resilient Warrior 5778. If you can't find it, I'll try to find an organization that you could apply to for that. But brother, I think every adult in America should drink ayahuasca or do psilocybin or journey with ibogaine because it will change your life. If everyone did this, man, if Putin and Zelensky did this right now, I think the war would end tomorrow. I mean, attitudes would change throughout the world. It would just be a more loving world, truly. And it's not to
That
say, for those of you who have a question, if I've had cops who active duty guys who are like, listen, man, am I going to want to not ever use force again? No, takes none of that away. Like, if I had to put someone down, they're going down. But it'll kind of change your heart, your soul. But if things need to be done, you are still going to be capable of handling business.
So a counter argument or question: is there any type of negativity that can come from this, either during or post?
As far as negativity, I mean, you get a purge when you use ayahuasca, Ibogaine usually, and
The
symbolically,
puking?
that's you getting it. Yeah, you're gonna puke. Some people poop. You're not gonna shit in your pants. You always have control, but that's the way some people purge is that way. Potentially you're not going to see that much of an effect. And I can honestly say I've not met too many people who have not. I think those who have were underdosed. I just don't think they received enough of the medicine. I've never heard that happen with Ibogaine, but ayahuasca is a little bit different because the way people make their batches is a little bit different from each other. So some are stronger than others. And I think sometimes for beginners, they tend to underdose them a little bit. It can do nothing negatively, so I don't understand why they didn't just go, a little bit err on the side of caution by giving more, knowing that someone is going to go have a full journey as opposed to possibly not. Especially when let's be frank, some of these people, this is their last option. They think. I mean, I've met numerous people who went to these retreats suicidal, and most well, everyone I've spoken to, I've never heard anyone say who they still have the ideology, have said that they no longer felt that way. People who've said that they haven't woken up happy in years, waking up happy, just being able to feel what they felt before they got into these professions. I'm not saying it's going to make you what you were before, but you absolutely will experience happiness from what I've done, what I've seen. It's a life changer.
Do you have to be open-minded going into it? Do you think
Yeah.
if you went in there with negative mind, like this isn't going to work, that shit's
Yep.
not going to happen? Okay.
Exactly, 100%. First of all, I don't know why you're going to do it if you have that mindset. I can understand being scared. I was scared, but going there with a mindset, this isn't going to work. That's not the attitude to have. I was open. I ceded control. I was like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not fighting it. You go in there with intentions, whatever they may be, and you may have them come to fruition. You may not experience them at all in your journey, but you need to go there with a positive mindset and know this is just magical medicine.
Awesome, man. It's been a complete privilege to have you on here, open up, talk about everything. We close with one question, but before I close with that question, is there anything else that you want to talk about and discuss?
No, I don't think so. We touched all the points. Again, it was an honor and a pleasure being on your show, brother.
Awesome, man. Well, we teach for a company called Justice Academy. What is your definition of justice?
That's a great question. My definition of justice. Man, that's deep. I would say that either in the negative or the positive, that whatever someone did is going to come back to them in that same realm. So if you're doing something negative, something bad, justice is going to see you suffering the same fate. And if you did something good, which justice may not be appropriate word to use in that case, it's going to come back the same way as well. Maybe a little bit like karma.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like it. That's typically kind of the answers that we get.
What's yours?
Hold on a second. You there? My computer just flickered. I don't know. What's my definition of justice?
Yeah.
I think so. I've had the opportunity to hear about 40 or 50 people say, and I feel like the one that I like the most is justice should always be blind. That's why the Lady of Justice is wearing a mask. And I still feel like sometimes that gets conflated, where people are the Lady of Justice are looking to see what society wants and not actually what the laws are written. But I think justice should be fair, impartial, And it doesn't matter who's on one end of the spectrum or on the other. Justice is blind, and the law is the law, and that's how it should be decided, by blind fate based on the facts of whatever the situation may be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Unfortunately, it is heavily influenced by money. So, people talk about it being race based. I don't think it's based upon economic status. So, if
100%.
you have money, you're getting yourself the greatest attorney money can buy. If you don't, it's luck of the draw on who's representing you, and it could be the worst attorney that's ever been admitted into the bar. It's sad to see sometimes, man.
No, I even on the state side, like you see poor prosecutors, or or I guess I won't say poor, prosecutors that don't have the experience, and then a lot of times prosecutors that are good, that get the experience, they go on the private, they're making more money.
Yep.
It takes a special prosecutor that is really good at their job to say, you know what, I'm going to forego making all this money and stay on the state side. And so it goes both ways. Like, you're going to get a public defender, or the state might just get it, like if you, I don't know, if you have tons of money and you have the best lawyer team around, and the state can only afford so much money to prosecute this case, oftentimes that justice is 100% financially based, and not
Yep.
based on by the way the laws are written. So I agree with you.
Exactly.
I think it's economic status is the biggest decider in our justice system, which can be disheartening.
Yeah, 100%. Especially if you're one who cannot pay for good representation.
Yeah.
It's sad but true, man. I think it's always going to be that way.
Yeah. I think even on the last podcast we talked about this. I don't know what the answer is, because money's going to always dictate it, and you can't tell someone that's a great prosecutor, like, hey, we're going to continue to give you more and more money, because the state fund's only the state fund. It's only so big. You can't pay someone $1 million when they go on for the private sector and they can make $1 million. Like, so you can't have a public defender that makes $1 million. You can't have a prosecutor that makes $1 million. It's just not feasible. So I don't know what the answer will be.
Yeah, I don't know, but much respect to those prosecutors who stay in those jobs
100%.
because they could kill it going over to the dark side. Especially after all that experience as a prosecutor. I mean, it's just, it's a license to print money. So for those men and women that stay in those positions, man, kudos to you, because you're literally staying true to yourself.
Yeah, I feel like that's a kind of like a calling. Like, a cop doesn't make a ton of money.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
that's their calling. Like, that's their way of, like, helping society and improving society, and that's what I'm saying. But that's a special person, though, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And they're super intelligent, because if they're doing well, they're going up against great defense attorneys. And if they're still doing it with that small budget and those resources they have against
And
these guys with unlimited everything, that is very impressive.
In their caseload, why this one private attorney can focus on one, you have 1,000. You got to keep them all straight. Yeah, so much props. That's a very true statement, man. Well, I appreciate it. I'm always here if you ever need anything.
Same here, Ken.
Yeah, anything you ever need, man. I'm always here for you.
All right, brother. I appreciate that. Right back at you.